What's if you died tomorrow, what's one thing that you'd be remembered for?
If I died tomorrow, I don't know, probably. I guess that's a question that I should ask myself more often, because if I died tomorrow, I don't think people would remember me for anything. I guess I think I've almost spent my whole life trying to learn how to shut up. You know, I grew up and, I was doing hair, in the neighborhood and cutting my friends' hair and doing their color and doing my own highlights and just experimenting with different things. And I was working in the hospital as an EMT, and I got fed up with it, and so I decided to go to hair school. My childhood was really normal, but I didn't think it was normal, and so of course I tried to rebel against it. I mean, I had, 2 middle-class parents, an older brother, and a chip on my shoulder, and so I decided that I was going to move out when I was 16 and stay with, this is kind of funny actually, I moved out to stay with my girlfriend at the time. Yeah, right? She was pissed when she found out. I chose not to speak to them. They didn't, throw me out. I left. I left, and I was going to go and start my life, and I wasn't going to wait for 18 because it all just seemed like bullshit to me that I had to, not be gay and follow these rules, and it just didn't, none of it ever made sense. Here we are, 10 rather flamboyant young gay guys hanging out, and he had brought his girlfriend at the time with him, and, true to form, good brother, really open-minded and supportive. However, shocked, was just like, David, what's going on? And I was like, well, this is my boyfriend. And he was like, okay. And apparently he had gone home and told my father. And I called my dad, and he picks up the phone, and I'm like, hey. And he's like, so do you have something you want to talk to me about? And I was like, well, I'm gay and I want to know what you think about it. And he honestly said that he didn't believe me. He thought I was just saying that for attention. Which, if it was anything else, I'd probably agree with him at that time. My mother is the sweetest woman on earth. I don't care who your mom is. My mom is better. That's, just the way it is. She's just amazing. I mean, nothing radiates out of her except for love. We were sitting at the light on San Pablo Road, about to take a left into the neighborhood that I grew up in. And I said, did you not talk to Jason at all? CJ, whoever. Did you not talk to him at all? And she says, who is this guy that you keep bringing up? And I was like, Mom, he's my boyfriend. And she goes, and she sucked every ounce of air out of the car and was just silent all the way home. And I was just thinking to myself, on one hand, part of me was like, this is fucking awesome. And the other part of me was like, oh my God, she's gonna kill me. They really lied to me as long as they could too about my grandmother. She was diagnosed with inflammatory breast cancer, which is now IBC. It's fairly well known in the the cancer community, I guess, as something that's very aggressive and very deadly. But at that time, it really wasn't. She died very suddenly, and her last words were, "Bill, I can't stand." Growing up, I was really close to her, and I guess what I miss the most is that when we would go as kids to her house, me and my brother, they would leave us for days at a time, and I was always very homesick. And there was this one time that they took me to her house by myself, and I don't think I'm gonna be able to talk. My parents just wanted some time to themselves, and I was a problem child and that kind of thing. They didn't go on a trip or anything, and they just took me to her house. And my brother didn't have to go because, you know, he was always well behaved and quiet and stuff like that. And so if they ever needed like a break, sometimes, you know, I was a hard kid to raise. I threw a fit with my grandmother, and she was from the old school, and, you know, she didn't fuck around with like little kids throwing tantrums and shit, you know. So I just was kicking and screaming and throwing at the biggest fit, and it was like 8:30 or 9 o'clock that night that I made my grandmother so tired of me that she finally called my dad. And that was what I wanted to do. I remember trying to make them so mad that they would tell my parents to come and get me. And when she died, that was just like the one thing that I thought about, is that I could have had like an extra like 8 hours with her, you know. So anyway, I guess to answer your question, I wish my grandmother hadn't died so suddenly. I don't know. I really believe that I can pretty much look at anything in the world and find something beautiful in it. And, you know, of all the shit that I went through when I was a kid, and, you know, everybody says that, all the shit I went through when I was a kid, you know. Who didn't have a fucked up childhood? But I think what made mine okay to me was the fact that I always found something that I loved, or someone that I loved. Yeah. Can I get out of the light now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Man.